Hey paper crafting friends, thanks for joining me today. I am here today to work on a one-page layout, or for me it's a calendar page, using the September 2023 kit from Kiwi Lane. So because mine is going to be a calendar page, my first decision today is going to be how to use it for September without it feeling super duper fall. Our weather here is still hot. I don't have fall leaves. It's not pumpkin time. And I like to use the kit for the calendar month that I get the kit, if that makes sense. So I've already pulled out the 6 background sheets that come with each month's kit. So I've set those aside. If you're curious what they were, they're double-sided. So I had 2 yellow, brown, blue, or if I flip them over, I've got a darker blue, kind of a peachy color, and then I don't know, I'd call that taupe or beige, something like that. So those are not really going to be in play. I'm saving those for backgrounds. So let's take a quick look at the major prints for this kit. So these are my dominant prints, and 2 of them for sure feel very fall, right? You got one with these cute like quilted pumpkins, and then this one's got the acorns and the leaves. Probably am not going to feature those in this layout. Like I said, I don't want it to be too fall, but I may be able to use something from the other side today, so we'll kind of see with those. This one is definitely speaking to me, right? It's just flower clusters. The colors are beautiful, so this is going to be my main print today. The back is just a really lovely dark blue, so if I need any dark blue, I'll remember that. And then look at these there's a plaid. The back side's just kind of that peachy color. So if I use this today, it'd probably be the plaid. I've got this fun dark brown with all these colored dots on it. Really beautiful yellow on the back. And then I've got this green with some plants on it. And the back side is just a light blue texture. So I probably pretty much have my layout colors here, other than this kind of magenta-y color isn't really speaking to me for this, so I'm probably going to pull it out. Look at how beautiful this is just as it stands. Let me spread those out just a bit so you can see them. I don't love the plaid right against that print. Oh, but I like it that way. All right. So this is probably going to be my palette for today. And then I remember there was that really beautiful yellow on the other side. Okay. So I will be pulling from those. And then as I flip through the sentiment cards, there's a lot of choices here that that really feel fall. This is the one I think I'm going to go with. I did kind of preview these. It says, we are happy, we are thankful, we are family, but it's just got the little flowers that match that other sheet. So I think that's what I'm going to emphasize. I may use a little bit off of this one, just maybe some of the circles or something, we'll see. But the rest of them really felt fall. Life needs more pumpkins and hay rides. Orchard fresh apples. I don't go apple picking, so I might use that side. My family tree is full of nuts. So just a lot of fall is here, kind of some journaling cards. You're the pumpkin I choose in the patch. They're really sweet. I will save them for some fall layouts though, and not necessarily use them for my September calendar page. So if that makes sense. And then same thing, kind of looking through the templates for this month. Most have a very fall feel. Love this. This is really beautiful. I'm going to need to figure out how I want to cut this, because there are pieces that I am definitely not going to mess with cutting. And so I'll have to decide what my accents are going to look like on this. So that'll be a fun kind of process today. And then we've got a couple of really cool pumpkins. They're great, but not necessarily what I need for this. Got a little greenery here. Another beautiful leaf, and then this awesome big acorn. Okay, so out of these, for the project I'm going to do today, the likelihood is these two are gonna make their way in. I'm gonna set these aside for my, future fall layout project using the rest of the kit. So let me get busy. Now that I've gotten these chosen, I'm gonna make some other template choices and get something figured out for a layout, and I'll share that with you in just a second. All right, so since this piece was my inspiration, I went searching for some templates that I thought had a very similar feel to the shapes of the greenery and the flowers and things that were on here. Okay, there are acorns. I'm just not gonna really emphasize the acorns today. I really wanted to emphasize some of those other plants. So let me show you what I came up with. I ended up pulling Sunnybrook Lane 2B to be my anchoring border, and then just a 1-inch strip. Okay, so I'm gonna do those things here. I grabbed this birthday template. It's from our birthday kit. This I think is gonna fit really nicely over the sentiment that I picked, and I know it's a little hard to see through it on the video, but that's that, okay? And I think that's gonna look nice, just kind of tucked right here. Then I wanted some flowers that felt like what is on this tag. So if you look at this little sentiment card, there's a couple little pieces here, and I was able to recreate that feel with this little a la carte forget-me-not, and then this little leaf from the Bonney set. As far as these other templates, I used this one from the Cozy Colors. That's our new template set this month. And then I pulled a couple things out of Tiny Plants. I've got 9T, 6T, 4T, and 5T that are all part of that Tiny Plant set that to me feel like that, the designs in this paper. And then I did go ahead and grab this one, this Cozy, and that's just gonna go maybe up here. So keeping all of that in mind, I have got to start thinking about what paper choices that I want to make. Obviously, some things are going to be dictated by the fact that I'm going to use this card. And I already know that I'm going to use this print for my border down here. So I am going to start with those two cuts, and that's going to help guide the rest of what I'm going to do today. So let me get those couple pieces taken care of, and then we'll move on from there. When I went to cut my border out of this beautiful paper, I did go ahead and plan for having a piece for the lower part of my calendar. Because I'm doing that and not a layout, I don't need a big, like a full-size border, but I will want something to carry that dominant pattern down onto the lower part of the calendar. So I'm literally just gonna cut this and set it aside, this kind of thin strip, and I'll deal with that part later. But there's that border strip. I love that with this blue tag. So far I'm pretty happy with how that's coming together. This blue is such a dominant color. It's so like just deep and dark that I know I'm gonna want it somewhere else on this page. What I'm thinking is that I will do this really beautiful swirl piece with it, because I want the greenery here to probably be green, and I want the flowers to pull in some of these colors. I think this will be my opportunity to pull in that blue. So the blue that came with the kit is this one, okay, which definitely goes, but I think I'm gonna look just in my paper stash for something that's a little bit closer to just this solid deep blue. I got super lucky. I found this small rectangle that actually fits this piece perfect. And I think the blue is close enough. It is not exact. I am not someone who worries about perfect matches. I feel like if it's in the same color family and it has that tone, that you're okay. Nobody who looks at your work thinks, ooh, did they find the perfect blue? So I think sometimes we put pressure on ourselves to be a little more perfect than we need to worry about. I am going to just trace these extra little accent pieces. I am going to do something with them. I haven't quite figured it out yet. Probably going to test a couple ideas on a scrap, but I've got this one traced. I'm going to go ahead and get this cut off camera, and then we'll make some more color choices and keep this thing coming together. All right, I got that piece cut, and I want to do just a little bit of experimenting here. I've got some pens that kind of show up well on darker papers, so I just want to try these. I'm going to do literally a couple of little sample pieces and see if these come out a color that I'm interested in bringing into the layout. Oh, that one's not bad. I'm going to let them dry, kind of see what those look like. Those may work for doing those little traced pieces inside this fun little swirl. So that's my tester, and then we'll figure that out in a minute. So the next thing that I started kind of trying to focus on is bringing in a little bit of this kind of turquoisey teal color. And I noticed, aside from one of the backgrounds, there's not something in the kit that's quite the color that I wanted. So I found, again, dug into the scrap drawer, found this, and I think I'm going to use it for just a couple of small pieces. I just love this color, and I like it with the dark blue and the oranges. So I'm going to do this little leaf as an accent of this color. I'm going to do this one, and I'm going to do this piece here also with this kind of teal. I think they'll all fit. Oh yeah. So these are my next little adventure. I will go ahead and get these ones cut, and we'll pop them on and just keep kind of checking our color scheme as we go and see how it's coming together. I often have people ask me about cutting like detail pieces, and obviously there's lots of different ways to go about it, but I think the biggest thing is just remembering that you're cutting from the back side of your scissors as much as you can, and really using your hand to help, the hand that's holding the paper, to help guide. So if you can see, I am flipping this little guy all over the place as I'm cutting it, and that way I'm getting the smoothest cuts that I can. I also sometimes will come in two different directions. So I may start on this side and get to the point, and then come back up here to the top to do this curve and straight line, so that I just kind of end in a corner. So just a thought as you're kind of working on getting more comfortable with cutting some of these detail pieces. So this little guy pops in here, and now I've got 3 little splashes of that teal or turquoise color. That makes me happy. I'm probably going to need another leaf or two for the lower part of my calendar, but I can always deal with that later, okay? So I'm just kind of keeping that in the back of my mind and saving my scraps. So the next thing is figuring out a couple more of these little details. I know I'm going to want this little flower to be this kind of yellowy gold color, and I may put one up here too. Not positive, but I think so. And then probably one on the lower part of the calendar. I am definitely a big fan of, if you're choosing to do a color splash, something that stands out, I want to have that show up in my project in at least 3 places. I don't know, it goes way back to when I first was learning about scrapbooking. I always heard about the triangle of 3, the triangle of 3. And the idea is that when you're placing things, if you have those pops, you want to keep your eye moving across the layout. If you just have one dramatic color pop, your eye sticks on it. You don't see the whole thing, and it doesn't feel cohesive. So just a thought as you're working, if you haven't heard that before. So this color is really close. I would love it to be a tiny bit more orangey, but this is what I'm going to go with. So this is the dots on the back, okay? But this is what I'm going to use to create, I think, 3 of these flowers that have this color. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of those, and then I'll pop back on. All right, loving those little yellow pops. Those are fun. I'm sitting here thinking that the next big piece that probably needs to be decided upon is this strip. And my initial thought was the orange, and I'll show you. I do think the orange would be pretty, right? It's just the right color. It's beautiful in here. But I know that I want to do at least this big flower here with the orange because it's very similar to shape to the one on this paper. So since I know that I want that to be orange, it needs to be on something that's gonna pop. So I tried the plaid, and I don't love the plaid right up against the floral. It's just not my favorite. You may love it. I think for me it's going to end up being this fun dot. Let's turn that around. I like that dot up against there. It pulls in all the colors. So I think I'm going to go ahead and cut my strip out of that. And then I still have lots for future projects, but it'll give me that pretty little pop. And this little guy for sure is going to just be green. I've got that beautiful green paper. This little guy is going to be orange, and I'm still on the fence for this one, so I'll figure that guy out. Let me get those decisions made, those pieces cut, and I'll show you how we're looking. All right, I went ahead and brought you in a little bit closer so you can see what I'm going to do here. I'm going to use that kind of bronze pen that I showed you, and I am just coloring in those accent pieces. And I remember I traced these with the pencil when I was cutting this out. I am not interested in digging into this with like an X-Acto knife. That's just not my favorite way to craft. Very personal choice. Some people probably love it. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of a detail on this swirl and a little bit of one on this swirl just to keep it going. Because I'm not trying to cut them, I can do that. Okay, so now those are done. And I am going to use this product here. It's called Glossy Accents. This is just a very clear, shiny topping basically. All right, so when the Glossy Accents comes out, it does look a little bit cloudy, but as it dries, it is clear and shiny. So it'll actually look like the epoxy embellishments that I made. So I just paint it on, kind of like you're applying stickles. I like to make sure that I have enough that it kind of puddles almost, kind of creates a little smooth area. And then I'm just going to set this aside. So you will not see me work with this anymore until it is dry, which doesn't take super long, but it does take a bit, right? You don't want to be messing around trying to put tape or trying to ink something that you just got wet and goopy. So I know right now this just looks like a kind of a cloudy mess, but I promise it's going to be beautiful. And I will show that to you when it's dry. If you have been around the scrapbooking world for a while, you maybe have seen a tool like this from a place called Epiphany Crafts. I'm going to make a couple of embellishments for my page. I just pop them right in the hole, pop my paper in. And then I have these self-adhesive little epoxy circles. I'm going to put it right on top. If you'll notice, these are a little bit yellowed. That gives you an idea of how long I've had them. I do use them, but clearly not that often. I don't know that that went through. Give me a second. All right, and then I can turn this over and just hit the button and it pops out. So then I've got this fun little epoxy shiny circle. So that's what I'm going to use for the centers of those flowers, those yellow flowers, to kind of carry this bright pink through the layout a little bit more. This pink was not something I had necessarily planned to use. So since I did make that choice, now I need to figure out how I'm going to incorporate it. So come on out. There we go. So got one more there, and I think that'll be good. Before I put everything together, I wanted to do a couple of quick little final touches to some of these pieces, and I wanted to just share that with you as I did. So on both of these dark blue pieces, let me show you this one first real quick. So remember, I used that metallic pen to color in the spots that were supposed to be like cut out for that extra detail. And then I put the glossy accents on top. So that's what that's looking like. So I'm happy with that. But I do want to add another detail with just a shimmer pen. So I am going to just go around the edges. I'm coming in maybe 1/8 of an inch. I don't know. It's not perfect. There's no exact here. And my lines are never perfectly straight, but I just like when I take a look at these pages, this little bit of shimmer catches my eye. So you see that? Just a little shimmer on there. I'm going to do the same thing to the blue one, but I'll do that off camera just because that's going to take a minute. And then on all of these yellow flowers that are going to be scattered throughout this layout, there are some little tiny white details, okay? On those white details, I am literally going to put a tiny bit of stickles. I am putting like a dot, but rubbing it so that it kind of covers that section, just that little detail on the page. It's very random. It just depends on what ended up in the cut. There goes my cap. Okay. This is not a big flashy ad. It is small. It is subtle. And I love that when you take a quick glance at a page, you just catch this tiny bit of shimmer. So let me show you that close up. You saw that it took me like 15 seconds to add that little bit of detail, and it's so fun just as a small pop. So just a couple of ideas. I also pulled a few flowers just out of my flower jars. I may incorporate these somewhere. The colors are perfect. So that may be an add-on to go with all of the paper embellishments that I made. So I'm not gonna talk anymore. The next thing that you'll see is the completed project. If you have any questions, please reach out in the comment section. I have included links to some of the different products that I used. If you follow those links and make a purchase, just know they are affiliate links, so I will get like a small percentage from that company as their way of saying, hey, thanks for the shout out. So I will link in this Jelly Roll pen for sure. The stickles, if I can find the same one. Glossy accents, I'll show you where you can find that. And then same with the metallic pens, if I can find where those are for sale currently, I'll share that. All the writing on the package is in Japanese, so I'm not sure how successful I'll be at finding it again. But I do appreciate you guys tuning in today. I know it's been a while since I made a video, so I do appreciate your time. I hope that you enjoyed it and that you leave me some comments. I'll talk to you soon. See you later. Bye-bye.